everyone, Jarrod Nickel, Executive Director of ProjectSeaweed.com here, and yes, I'm back again with another video review, this time taking a look at Dragon Quest IX. It was released back in July for the Nintendo DS, only in Japan so far. We don't know what the North American release date is going to be, or if it's even going to be released here, but I'm hopeful that it will eventually make its way here. Anyways, start off, I think the biggest surprise with Dragon Quest IX was the fact that it was released on the Nintendo DS as opposed to the Wii or the PlayStation 3 or what have you. For the last, 10 years, the Dragon Quest series has been synonymous with Sony's PlayStation franchise. And so yeah, that was pretty staggering. The other staggering thing was the fact that it was going to be an action RPG that was developed by Level 5, the makers of the incredible Dragon Quest VIII. But anyways, due to just a sheer outcry from the fans, they decided, you know what, maybe action RPG isn't exactly what we should do. We should make it a full-fledged RPG. And that's exactly what they did. But make no mistake about this, this is not your typical Dragon Quest. The game starts off with you designing a character, and this is kind of interesting because it pertains to a lot of the rest of the game. Customization options. You basically design every aspect of your character, the way they look, their name, even a little color code that goes around their name, so that when you're playing with 4 players, you can easily identify who's doing what in terms of selecting options and what have you. So the game begins with you basically being an angel, and you have to go to the living world to find auras which you use to please the world tree. What you're trying to do is basically get into the realm of the gods, or the land of the gods. Anyways, of course, being Dragon Quest, something goes horribly wrong and your hero is cast out of the realm of angels and put back into the land of the living. You're now charged with finding the fruit of the goddess, which you will then use to return to the angelic realm, restore the world tree, and finally be granted to the land of the gods. Of course, this doesn't sound, overly epic at first, but you know what? It is a really good and entertaining story. And what I loved was the fact that Square-Enix every Friday has been updating the quests, sort of like adventure quests is what I'm calling them, whereby different characters that you'll meet in the various villages and what have you will sort of charge you with finding certain, say I don't know, build me this special sword, and the only way to build that sword is to get a certain recipe, and the ingredients in the recipe you need to defeat some new creature that they just added. And it's really easy to do. You just go up into this little inn and you download the latest quests, and they're going to do this for 1 solid year, so every Friday for 52 weeks. I mean, that's pretty awesome if I do say so myself. Anyways, story, it's not as deep as the other Dragon Quests. I'll get that out of the way right now, because you do not have a party. That's right. You're actually playing by yourself. You can create a party, but they're basically 3 generic characters. They're sort of like your main hero, except that your main hero has tons of backstory and you learn all about them. The way this one's sort of set up is that your progression is through other characters that you meet along the way. If you remember back in Dragon Quest VIII, you would sort of interact with your own party member. That's just a thing of the past this time, okay? But remember, there is a party, it's just that they're not, they're not relative to the story, if you will. One of the major changes you're going to notice right off the bat in terms of gameplay is the fact that there's no longer a random encounters. You'll see enemies on the screen. You just walk up to them, and the screen will sort of disappear, and you'll be sucked into battle where you can go ahead and fight the enemies right there. Okay, you get that. I hope that there is a battle screen, and you will get sucked in. Sorry, there is a world screen, and then you'll get sucked into the battle screens. It's just that it's almost instantaneous, and the fact that all the enemies are actually on the world map, so you can easily run away from them. Now, this is a really cool touch. Okay. And that is that as you're playing the game, you can actually spot higher leveled enemies than you are. If you see an enemy coming running after you, they're probably a good 1 or 2 levels ahead of you. Now what's really cool is as you get stronger in the game and you return back to some of the other areas, you're going to be way stronger than they are. They'll actually just totally run away from you. And this makes exploration that much more interesting, because now you can go ahead and and explore, you know, like really look at every nook and cranny of the game, and that's awesome. The other thing that's really unique with this one is that it really is designed for 4 players. And yes, you can actually gang up together to battle enemies, or you can actually separate yourselves to fight off different enemies. Now, what's interesting is that some adventure quests, you can actually, you know, well, not some, but almost all of them, you can go and help out a friend if they need a certain ingredient or whatever. And I thought that was brilliant. I really did. The other thing that's really interesting are the touch controls, but they're interesting for another reason, because they don't really add anything to the game. They play sort of like Phantom Hourglass, except not as ideal, if you want to call it that. I was actually a little bit disappointed for that. The game really works better with the buttons. Okay, the last thing that I really want to talk about here and try and explain this is sort of the new class system. Yes, there are several classes that you can go ahead and change when you reach the Dharma Temple. But the way this works is they're all broken down into skill trees, okay? And as you get skill points, which are allotted every couple of levels, you can allocate these points to different skills within a class, okay? So let's say you had like permanent strength plus 10, and if you max that out, okay, then you'll be awarded that permanent strength plus 10 no matter which class you switch later on. However, if you put it to something else that's not a permanent, okay, or that doesn't award a permanent, then you're going to lose it when you switch. For example, something like, say, a magician or a mage, right? If you unlock a whole bunch of spells, but then you switch to a warrior class, you're screwed, because you won't be able to use those spells any longer. But let's say you were a mage, let's say you were a warrior and you unlocked the shield class. You completely mastered it, alright? If you did that, you now have access to shields for any class that you happen to switch to. Now, I should say this, it takes around 42 levels to master any one skill tree, okay? So that likely means you're going to be really close to the end of the game. So, you know, keep that in mind if you're going to be swapping back and forth. But again, this is all about replay, and that's the biggest change of everything. That is by far the biggest change to anything with Dragon Quest IX. Because not only do you have 120 adventure quests, but you also have 52 weeks of new ones coming, and it's not always just one download. You also have the 4-player mode, which is, you know, pretty cool. Alright, the only other thing I guess that I could easily just talk about a little bit is sort of the visuals, and I thought they were spectacular. Obviously, it's not true 3D. As you look around, yes, your characters move in 3D, and yes, some of the enemies and whatnot are made of polygons, but there's also a heck of a lot of sprites in the game, more so than I was actually led to believe. But that's irrelevant, because if you look, the attention to detail that Level 5 did was nothing short of superb. Also, the soundtrack was just phenomenal, but it always is. It's a mixture of meaty and seedy quality tracks. The new overture is just breathtaking, and if you listen close, you can actually hear it during one of the videos playing now. Anyways, I just wanted to bring you all up to speed on this fantastic game. I really hope it comes out within I'd say the next year, but you know the way Square-Enix is, we really have no idea. Alright guys, I gave the game a 9.2. When it comes out in North America, you guys better get it, because it's absolutely incredible. Be sure to check out projectcoe.com for all your latest news, and also check out our blog at projectcoe.com/blog. Thanks for watching, everybody.